Homage to the original master, Shakyamuni Buddha, to the venerable monks and nuns, and to all the dear Buddhist followers who have gathered here for the Vulan festival in this mountain forest. We all know the meaning of the Vulan festival. It is a ceremony to remind us of our filial piety toward our parents, and from this filial piety, we develop countless other virtues in life. If a person lacks filial piety toward their parents, we cannot believe that this person possesses any morality in life. When we associate with someone, for example, they might present themselves as a very good person, but do not be quick to believe. Only when we witness their piety and respect for their own parents can we tentatively trust that this person has a moral foundation. It is as fundamental as that. We will not speak today on the great meaning of filial piety, nor will we speak of it tomorrow. However, it will be the topic tomorrow evening at Tutan Pagoda. Tonight, I will be speaking at Tutan, and tomorrow evening, usually at Tutan Pagoda on the full moon night, the senior monk holds an internal Dharma talk. But recently, he has been ill and weak, so after conducting the ceremony tomorrow morning, he will be exhausted, without enough strength for an internal session tomorrow evening. The senior monk asked me to speak in his place. Therefore, after our ceremony here tomorrow morning, I must rush off for another engagement. So, if anyone is free, you are welcome to go there to listen and feel the warmth. If not, that is perfectly fine. Today, let's talk about this topic for a little while. I was recently invited by the organizing committee of a conference on Technology 4.0. This conference was jointly organized by the government, led by the Prime Minister and the party's Central Economic Commission. They invited many leading experts on Technology 4.0 from various countries to give presentations. The invited guests were also people of the highest intellectual caliber. Leaders of large corporations came to listen. Why is that? Because in this era, anyone who does not know about 4.0 is an extremely backward person. Any country that cannot catch up with Technology 4.0 will be hopelessly left behind. Therefore, Vietnam must accelerate this Technology 4.0. We do not have the right to fall behind. We do not have the right to be backward. And at that conference, there was only a single monk invited. And remarkably, the spirit that the organizing committee, meaning the state, the prime minister, and the Central Party Committee, wanted to impart to the intellectuals and entrepreneurs was that they must return to contemplate and convey the urgent need for Technology 4.0 today. So today, we speak of 4.0. And this 4.0, we must understand what 4.0 is. What is it? This is the world's definition. Let us listen to understand. Why, as Buddhist practitioners, are we talking about 4.0? Because 4.0, Technology 4.0, is striking at the very heart of the pagoda. It could shatter the pagoda. It could even erase the pagoda completely. So we must know, as Buddhist practitioners, we must know what this 4.0 is and what our path of practice must be in relation to the world of the future. If there is a 4.0, then there must have been a 3.0, a 2.0, and a 1.0. So, we will understand step by step. What is 1.0? It was the first industrial revolution, when people first invented the steam engine, the internal combustion engine. This means it no longer required human strength to pull. A vehicle just needed coal and fire, and a boiler would bubble and hiss, and the vehicle could move on its own. Its wheels could turn, and it could run. We got our first steam trains, our first locomotives, thanks to Technology 1.0, which was the advent of mechanics, creating mechanical power that could operate a machine by itself. The second industrial revolution, the second technology revolution, was the beginning of electrification, creating electric current and applying it in industry, production, and daily life. Electrification was so important that Lenin famously said that socialism equals a certain power plus electrification and industrialization. Because it was that important. In that era, it was a quantum leap for humanity. It brought energy to every corner of life. For example, with mechanics, power was confined to railway tracks and vehicles. We couldn't have an engine running inside our homes. But with Technology 2.0, electricity entered our homes. We could light up a bulb, run a fan, use an electric stove. That is, it brought energy through wires into every nook and cranny of life. So what is Industry 3.0? The 3.0 technology revolution marked the arrival of the laptop, the computer. Today, this means that for everything we do, we use a computer. The machine began to think, to calculate for humanity. Calculates for us. For example, a long and difficult math problem can be solved instantly with a computer. We draw slowly. The machine can draw for us very quickly. We organize files very slowly. The machine can organize them for us very quickly. The machine started to assist our minds. Technology 1.0 enhanced the muscular strength of human beings. We can't pull it. The machine pulls it for us. We can't run. The machine runs for us. We can't lift. The machine lifts for us. That is muscular strength. With technology 2.0 electrification, that power, that energy became more refined, softer, and seeped into every facet of life. And it did the same things. It lifted for us, pulled for us, ran for us, but in the smallest, most delicate devices, applied to everything in this world. Then came the third revolution. From electricity, it began assisting our minds directly. Calculates for us. That is technology 3.0. So what is 4.0? 4.0 opens up a vast new world. This 4.0 is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence calculates for us, it organizes for us, it creates for us. For example, we are now at a point where it can write an entire book for us. It has reached that level. Can compose a piece of music for us. Calculations so complex that humans cannot do them, that even software cannot do them. Artificial intelligence will be able to do it all. And it is as intelligent as a human, more creative than a human. And it has the element of remote control. We can be somewhere else and check on what is happening in our home. We can turn the lights on and off in our house from afar. We could be in France but still control our vegetable garden back home, programming the exact time for fertilization and watering. And now, all the records management for an entire country. A human staff could never read it all, but a machine can read it all, classify it all, and do everything. We are at the stage of technology 4.0, where machines stand as equals to human beings, and in many areas are superior. We have reached this level. So today, all production, calculation, technology, education, healthcare, national defense, and public administration all must apply artificial intelligence to be fast and accurate. We have arrived at this reality today. So we are entering an era, we are in an era where robots are a real thing, no longer just a story from a science fiction movie. It has come to the point where some pagodas in foreign countries have had to create a robot monk. They place it at a station, and if anyone is suffering or is lost, they can come and talk to it, and it will preach the Dharma to them. To that extent. I don't know if its preaching is better than mine or not, I don't know. But they have already created such a thing. That is, using artificial intelligence, using technology 4.0, it has already penetrated the pagoda, it has already penetrated Buddhism. So today, technology 4.0 is gradually blanketing the world. And any country that fails to adapt in time will lose to other countries. And we know what losing means. To lose means we will be poorer. When we are poorer, we lose politically. We lose in national defense, we lose militarily. It means we will become slaves. So this meaning is an extremely great meaning, a strategic meaning of the utmost importance to the destiny of a nation. When people compiled statistics on the adoption of technology 4.0 around the world, Vietnam was found to have not yet truly set foot in this new technological landscape. Our government is therefore extremely concerned. And to successfully apply technology 4.0, it cannot be a task just for a few professors, a few engineers, or a few specialists. All the people of Vietnam must understand what technology 4.0 is. Even the old woman selling sticky rice on the street corner, if you ask her about 4.0, she must be able to answer. If you ask her, "Ma'am, do you know what technology 4.0 is?" she should say, "That's robots, artificial intelligence." She must know to that extent. And one day, she'll just have a robot sell the sticky rice for her. She will only need to collect the money. It means everyone must know about technology 4.0. Monks must also know about technology 4.0. And the younger generation, all of you children, must know even more about technology 4.0. Why? Because we know this is the path the world is on, a path it has already taken. And we cannot stand outside of that journey. We cannot be left out of the world's great journey. As everyone moves forward, we must also move forward. We cannot stay behind. If we stay behind, we will instantly become slaves. So the meaning of this 4.0 revolution is immense. But in our pagoda, why must we know about it? Because it affects the pagoda. It affects the pagoda profoundly. How does it affect the pagoda? People use technology 4.0 to create video games. People use technology 4.0 to create incredibly engaging programs on computers, in entertainment, and in digital recreation. And everyone, especially the young generation, is more interested in those technologies. Before, we had many options for entertainment and study. I remember the old days in the countryside. There was no electricity. Our country was very poor. Homes were lit by oil lamps. By this time of night, you'd be ready to climb into bed. There was nothing else to do. No television, no karaoke, nowhere to go. If someone was craving coffee, they would go to a cafe, but it would just be a small shop dimly lit by an oil lamp. A better option was to go to the pagoda. The pagoda would have an oil lamp or a brighter pressure lantern, and there you could see more people, so it was a joyful place. People loved going to the pagoda because there was nowhere as crowded. The pagoda in the countryside was the most crowded place. With nothing else to do for fun, chanting sutras was the most enjoyable activity. And if, after chanting, the monk could tell a story about the Buddha, that pagoda was number one. That monk was number one. That's how it was. When I was a novice, I would work in the fields during the day. Afterwards, I would rush back to bathe in time for the evening chanting. At dusk, the elders and children of the village would stream into the pagoda to chant, because there were no other activities. No TV, no cinema, nothing. The pagoda was the most joyful place. They would come, chant, and go home. I then asked the head monk for permission to give a sermon, to tell stories from the Buddha's life, stories of the great disciples for the followers to hear. The head monk refused. So after the chanting was done, I would always stay behind to preach, to tell stories, and the pagoda became even more joyful. And that was it. The pagoda was number one. People came to the pagoda for that. But as our country developed, as roads were built and electricity gradually reached more places, society progressed. Movies arrived. Taiwanese dramas arrived. Martial arts films arrived. Oh my goodness! You cannot imagine, the first time in the pagoda we secretly managed to watch the movie Shaolin Temple with Jet Li. We had to hide it. It was a secret. Only a few VIPs in the pagoda were allowed to watch. The rest were forbidden because it was just too strange. A monk watching a movie was unheard of. But because they brought the film and said, "This is a Shaolin Temple movie," it was also about monks, so maybe it was acceptable for monks to watch other monks. But they still didn't dare let the whole community see it. It was done in secret. I was among the few VIPs who were allowed to watch. And there, I saw so much fighting, my heart pounded. I thought, wow, I have been a monk for so long and have never seen anyone fight so fiercely. The movie was full of fighting. In that moment, the gates of temptation began to open. Movies slowly flooded in. But even that was not as dangerous as today. In this modern era, people can go online to study, go online to have fun, go online to make friends, go online to interact with the entire world. The time spent online, on the internet, on Facebook, watching movies, studying, interacting, shopping, it consumes a vast amount of a person's time. And so, when will people go to the pagoda? What time is left for people to go to the pagoda? Is there any time left at all? Ask a child today, why don't you go to the pagoda? They'll say, because the pagoda doesn't have Facebook. The pagoda doesn't have internet or video games. It's boring. People's main concern now is their life on the internet, not their life in the real world. As for the pagoda, as for spiritual practice, what is that? They know even less. There's a movie about two people doing business. They're sitting in a cafe. and the client asks the woman, "Is this your office? This coffee shop?" She says, "My office is up there," and points to the sky. What does she mean? The iCloud, the cloud. She says only the unfortunate have their offices on the ground. It sounds like a joke, but it has a deep meaning. People now live on the cloud, on the internet. Real life is becoming unnecessary. Life on the cloud, cloud computing, cloud storage, virtual networks, that is what is considered civilized. What is considered advanced. This real world down here is no longer important. It is gradually becoming that way. It's like me. Every time I drive past a pagoda, I look at its gate, and I can tell whether many people visit or not. Just from my car, I look at the gate and I know instantly. I don't need to stay in that pagoda for days. I don't need to sit there for hours to assess if many followers come. I don't need to. I just drive by, look at the gate, and I know. How do I know? Do I have some psychic power? No, I have no powers. I look to see if there are any flies buzzing around. If I don't see a single fly, I know there is nothing inside to eat, so not even a fly will bother to go. That means people don't go. That pagoda is empty. And in the past, 20 years ago, when I passed by, pagodas still had people coming. Maybe not a lot, but people came. But today, truly, whenever I am on the road and I look at the gates of pagodas, even during Vulan, with banners celebrating the Grand Vulan Festival or Grand Buddha's Birthday Festival, I can still feel an incredibly desolate atmosphere, because I no longer see any flies buzzing around. I see the pagodas becoming emptier and emptier. The pull of the pagoda on people is weakening and weakening. People are becoming less and less interested in the pagoda. If you ask them their religion, they say Buddhism. But do they go to the pagoda? No. Why? I'm busy online. The time for Facebook, the time for other things, for virtual lives, is so much greater. That is technology 4.0. It was supposed to support people's lives, their work, their health. But it also created a virtual playground that pulls people away from real life, pulls people away from their authentic spiritual practice. Before, they came to the pagoda, chanted a sutra for a while, and felt a warmth, a peace, a happiness in their hearts. Now, the person chanting talk, 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 talk no longer feels joy, but going online and clicking click, 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 click is more fun. Liking or disliking, adding friends or unfriending them, it is so much more engaging. Gradually, technology 4.0 is pulling people away. And why is it so attractive? Because it is intelligent, far too intelligent. The games and programs online are irresistibly captivating. For example, in the past, just being able to see a movie was a great joy. Now, a young student, even in the 9th grade, can create a stunning animated video clip. We no longer need to go to a theater and spend money to see a film. A 9th grader can create one. And these things are fascinating. We love watching them. They are so engaging that we are glued to the screen, watching one free clip after another. If you just go on YouTube, for example, it will automatically play the next video, and then the next. You just sit and watch, and it consumes so much of your time. And when it consumes so much of your time, what happens to the pagoda? It gets emptier and emptier. Someone might argue with me. They might say, "Teacher, you say the pagodas are empty, but look here, there are tens of thousands of people from this side to the other." Our pagoda is a special case. Our pagoda is what you might call a competitor to 4.0. That is why we have survived. Otherwise, we would all be gone. It means the era of the 4.0 technology revolution is killing pagodas. So today, we must understand 4.0 in this way. What does this mean? It means the influence of religion on people is shrinking. And people, what are they influenced by? By what is on the internet. If they follow a religion, it's because that religion is discussed online. And on the internet, there are all kinds of religion. True and false, authentic and fake. And they are mesmerized by what's online. So a real pagoda with a real monk, a real sutra, a real practice, a real meditation session is no longer as attractive as the slick clips about morality online. Listening to those can also feel inspiring, you can feel noble, you can feel like you are practicing, but only online. In real life, it's not there. So the pagodas get emptier and emptier. That is one effect. And some religious groups become extremist because they also feel it. What do they feel? They feel that this era of high technology makes people neglect their faith. And in order to protect that faith, they become extreme. You won't go to the temple? I will kill you. They threaten people, making them so afraid that they are forced to maintain their faith, to maintain their spiritual activities, or else be killed. Some groups have become extremists to that degree. And some pagodas, and this is the reason, some pagodas do not keep up with the times, so they gradually fall behind. People must always move forward. But the pagoda doesn't move forward. So people no longer walk with the pagoda. Let me put it this way. The stream of life moves forward, the era moves forward, the world moves forward. So, by necessity, everyone must move forward. But the pagoda refuses to move forward. This means the pagoda keeps standing in the back. People cannot abandon their lives, cannot abandon the era, cannot abandon the world. They must go with the world, moving forward. And the pagoda stands still in the back. This means that people and the pagoda no longer walk together. We can say it very simply, people and the pagoda no longer walk together. And what does that mean? It means no one comes to the pagoda anymore, and the pagoda gets emptier and emptier. That is the consequence. When science advances quickly, the pagoda becomes empty. That is the consequence. And why is that? People not walking with the pagoda, it's not that they abandoned the pagoda, but that the pagoda abandoned them. The pagoda abandoned them so they can no longer walk with the pagoda. And what does it mean for the pagoda to abandon people? It knows people must move forward, but the pagoda refuses to follow. The fault lies there. The pagoda refuses to follow. The pagoda abandons everyone. The pagoda stands still in the back. And people have no choice but to say goodbye to the pagoda so they can follow the era, so they can follow life. The things people use, the pagoda does not use. For example, today's followers all have a mobile phone. The monk doesn't have one. They say, "Oh teacher, it's so hard to contact you. The other day I had some money and wanted to call you to make a donation. The teacher doesn't have a bank account. I tried to call your mobile, but you don't have one. Couldn't reach you. I had to donate that money somewhere else to another charity." All because the monk didn't have a bank account. And in this day and age, people no longer travel 10 or 20 kilometers just to offer a small donation to the pagoda. They just go online, click, 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 and the money is in the pagoda's account instantly. This is the era we live in. So the pagoda doesn't walk alongside them. It thinks that by living simply, one can achieve liberation. But the reality is, one might say, I live a simple, pure life. And that may be fine for oneself. But it also means you have abandoned the world. You have given up on people, letting them walk on with the world while you stay behind. It means the pagoda gets emptier and emptier. The things people use, the pagoda doesn't use, doesn't like to use, and doesn't know how to use. That means the pagoda is not keeping up with the times. And then, the things people like, the pagoda does not like. For example, the youth today love a certain kind of music. The pagoda is unmoved. Children, just chanting the sutras talk, 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 is enough. In that case, do we still belong to each other? No. The young generation loves that music, the pagoda does not. The pagoda loves to chant in the old style. And it is clear we no longer belong to each other. We have ceased to belong to each other. And the pagoda just gets emptier. That's all. The pagoda doesn't keep up. The world's music evolves, but the pagoda doesn't evolve with it. It's the same with other things. The world's fashion becomes more and more what? More beautiful, more eccentric, more shocking, more bizarre. The pagoda does not like it. The pagoda prefers the simple brown robe. Anyone who comes to the pagoda must wear plain, simple clothes. That is a sign of a true practitioner. Wearing beautiful clothes is not. But what are people like today? They want to be beautiful. If they feel they look unattractive, they won't go. They are afraid of looking plain by going to the pagoda. So they stop going to the pagoda. As I've been speaking, I think you've gradually realized what our Fat Kwang Pagoda is doing, haven't you? How our Fat Kwang Pagoda is responding to 4.0, haven't you? Then there's food. People today are very concerned about nutrition. Are they getting enough calories? Is it delicious? Is it healthy? The pagoda says, child, just eat simple fermented tofu with soy sauce. Cut up some pickled vegetables. Dip them in soy sauce. It's enough. That's the attitude towards anyone who comes. What are we then? We are incompatible with the times. These are the things people like and the pagoda does not like. It is clear that we do not belong to each other. It is only natural that people abandon the pagoda. That is the way of thinking. And why do the pagoda and the people grow more and more distant? Why? Whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? Honestly, whose fault is it? As Buddhist followers, you don't have the heart to blame the pagoda, do you? The pagoda is something noble and sacred. We don't have the heart to blame it. But to say it is our fault would also be wrong. Why? Because we are just living our lives according to the times, according to society. So what have we done wrong? Yet the pagoda is slowly leaving us. Then I ask a monk, why did you abandon the people? He says, I didn't abandon anyone. I just don't see them coming to the pagoda anymore. The pagoda grows sad, but he says, I didn't abandon them, but the truth is clear. In the pagoda's way of life, in its activities, in its preferences, it is gradually no longer aligned with the world. The world changes, it progresses, it moves forward. The pagoda is absolutely determined not to progress. The fault lies here. We don't blame the pagoda itself, but we blame that determination not to progress with the times. The fault lies here. That determination not to progress with the times. I don't know whose fault it is, but whoever holds that determination is the culprit, making the pagoda and the people grow further and further apart, until they are incompatible, until they no longer belong to each other. And when people are no longer interested in the pagoda, do they still need the pagoda to teach them? Do they? No. Whatever that monk is practicing, that's his business. Whatever that nun is practicing, that's her business. They say, I don't understand the language that monk is speaking. People don't understand anymore. The language that nun is speaking, I don't understand anymore. The language in the sutras, what does it mean? I don't understand anymore. And when the pagoda chants in some melody, they listen and they don't recognize it anymore. Tonight, there is a grand ceremony. Many monks are chanting. The sound of traditional instruments fills the air, and they chant in a language that no one here in the audience understands. So, do people still need the pagoda? No. Why would they need it? The pagoda speaks a language I don't understand. That monk speaks a language I don't understand. The sutra I read, I don't understand. And when it is chanted to some melody, I don't understand. It is clear they no longer need the pagoda. If someone seeks progress, seeks morality, they will find another source, not that pagoda. That is the reason the pagoda and society, and the era, are drifting further and further apart. But has everyone abandoned the pagoda? No, because for certain ritual services, people still very much need a monk. Especially when there is a death in the family. If there is a death in the family without a monk, without the image of a monk chanting, it looks desolate, it feels wrong, it's not traditional. At that moment, the role of a monk is incredibly valuable. But only at that moment. After the funeral is over, the pagoda is immediately forgotten. A few people have other service needs. For example, when they get a new home, they need someone to come and perform a blessing ceremony. They don't know what to do. Surely the monk knows. So they ask the monk to come and chant, trusting it will bring peace to the house. This means a little bit of faith remains. And that ritual service is something they cannot perform themselves, so they ask the monks to do it. And the monks become merely the performers of that ritual service. The host doesn't need to understand. They don't need to understand what the monk is chanting. As long as he is present at the ceremony so that outsiders don't mock them, saying, "What kind of funeral is this with no monks chanting?" Now, the monk's presence prevents that mockery, and that is enough. Nothing more is needed. And the pagoda survives only on that. Nothing else remains. That is the danger. So, when the 4.0 era rushes in, we see its profound influence on religion, on spirituality, on faith. However, there are these things. There are things that, no matter how far science advances, will never change. There are things that must never be changed. The first thing, eating. We cannot have a machine eat for us, can we? We eat and we are full. A machine eats and the machine is full. Others eat and they are full. There is no such thing as science becoming so advanced that robots eat for humans, and humans no longer need to eat. Does that exist? No. The fundamentals never change. Drinking. We must drink for ourselves to quench our thirst. No machine can drink for us. Sleeping and resting. We must get enough sleep and rest for our bodies to be healthy. And what else? Sickness. To this day, there has never been a single therapy that can cure every disease in the world. Science has even predicted future pandemics for which no medicine will work. For example, antibiotic resistance. The viruses are becoming resistant to the drugs that once cured us. New antibiotics cannot be developed fast enough. Then plagues will spread and there will be no cure, and people will die. Today, we have already discovered many dangerous diseases that are incurable. Antibiotics have become ineffective. These human frailties do not change. Death for human beings is unchangeable. The act of excretion is a human act. Machines cannot do it for us. Learning to gain knowledge. We still have to do this ourselves. A machine cannot do it for us. If the machine learns, the knowledge stays in its hard drive. If we ourselves have no knowledge, we don't know how to access that data to use it. We must have knowledge to use the machine's knowledge. Without knowledge, we cannot use it. So there is no machine for learning. We must learn for ourselves. Training to be healthy. We must train ourselves to be healthy. A machine cannot train for us. And the cultivation of virtue is the same. The cultivation of virtue is something we must do ourselves to become virtuous. A machine cannot cultivate for us. So there are these immutable things about being human. Eating, drinking, sleeping, resting, excreting, learning, training, and cultivating. No matter how advanced machines become, no matter how advanced science becomes, these basic things are immutable. That is the first point. The second is that there are spiritual truths that are immutable. For example, the law of cause and effect. No matter how far science advances, the law of cause and effect is immutable. Whoever sows evil causes will suffer painful consequences. Whoever does good deeds will receive great happiness. That justice is absolute. It never changes. No matter how far science advances, this moral principle will never change. Or reincarnation. Death is not the end. After death, there are still other lives. And those lives are not necessarily in some other world. Sometimes people are reincarnated right back here as human beings. These things are immutable. No matter how far science advances, this moral principle does not change. Then there is impermanence. There is birth and death. There are the different realms of existence, the heavens and the hells. No matter how far science advances, these things will never change. So we see that 4.0, high technology, has flooded the world, society, and humanity, changing us immensely. However, there are fundamental things that no technology can ever change. We must still live for ourselves. We must still strive for ourselves, train, learn, and cultivate. And there are moral principles that can never be changed. For example, the enlightenment of a great sage. A machine cannot achieve that. Only that person, through their own practice, can become enlightened. It is like the happiness in our lives. A machine cannot create it for us. Only we can find it for ourselves. And when do we find happiness? We find it when we live with selflessness, with love, with kindness. When we receive the loving, kind interaction of others in a harmonious and joyful atmosphere, we feel happiness. A machine cannot feel that. A machine cannot create that. For example, a machine can play a piece of music for us, can do that. But a machine cannot create our happiness. A machine cannot create our appreciation of the music. Meaning, when a piece of music plays, we sit and listen, and we perceive whether it is beautiful or not, which passages are gentle and which are powerful. Our soul, our emotions, follow the music. Only we ourselves can experience that. A machine cannot. So no matter how far technology advances, there are things that are profoundly deep, exquisitely subtle, and intensely private, which will always remain the domain of human beings. And in the same way, the principle of enlightenment, the principle of the Buddha, the principle of the law of cause and effect, of impermanence, of birth, old age, sickness, and death, of the suffering of this world, these things are forever immutable, no matter how far science and technology advance. So this is the point. The point is, if a pagoda can preserve those immutable principles and walk alongside society, if it can follow the technological era, then that pagoda does not make the mistake of abandoning sentient beings. That pagoda still walks with everyone. That pagoda follows the path of life, follows society, and teaches everyone. This means the monk in that pagoda understands technology 4.0. He knows how to use a smartphone, he knows how to use the internet, he knows how to use music. And he can speak the language of the era. He can take the profound teachings of the Buddha and express them in the language of the era, so that everyone can understand. Or the chanting of that pagoda is done in the language of the era, so everyone can understand. Or the sutras are set to a kind of music that everyone today loves. Then what does that mean? It means that pagoda is still keeping pace with the rhythm of the times. What does that mean? It means that pagoda does not abandon sentient beings. That pagoda does not abandon the world. And what does that mean? It means people still feel the pagoda is by their side. People still feel their teacher is by their side. And they still need the pagoda. They still need their teacher. They still need the teachings to find happiness. Because their happiness is not something a machine can create for them. Only the Dharma can create it for them. But there were times they could not access the Dharma because the pagoda had abandoned them, because the pagoda stood still in the back. But if the pagoda walks alongside them, if it follows their lives, people will still have the pagoda by their side. They will still recognize the moral principles offered by the pagoda. And as long as they can receive the moral principles offered by the pagoda, they will still find true happiness. That is the responsibility of a pagoda. So, having said all this, we look back. We look back at our Fat Kwang pagoda. It turns out this pagoda is nearly 4.0, it's no ordinary place. This pagoda is no ordinary place. We have brought modern music and applied it to our chanting. We have used music to convey the Dharma. For example, in just a little while, we will enjoy a live musical performance by the artists Tran Vu and Thursday Trang. In this Vulan festival, this couple is offering the pagoda a night of live music. That is us, using modern art forms to bring information and beauty to everyone. We do not refuse it, we apply it. And the technology, the machines, the LED screens, our pagoda has applied it all. Then there are the teachings that our pagoda shares with everyone. Hidden within them is a wealth of knowledge from modern science. It is not that the pagoda is ignorant. We discuss medicine, physics, mathematics, cosmology, and astronomy. Our pagoda has enough knowledge to engage with everyone on these topics. Therefore, when people come to the pagoda, they are not bored. They do not feel their intellect is being diminished. They feel that the knowledge they learn in school is consistent with the moral principles presented by the pagoda. So when they come here, their intellect is satisfied. The Buddhist followers who come here feel fulfilled. They feel they have dignity, have value, have intelligence. It is not like some places where they say, only ignorant people go to the pagoda. Some pagodas have that reputation. What reputation? That only those who know nothing go there to chant. Why? Because no one understands a word of the chanting. So the pagoda becomes seen as a place without science, without knowledge, a place of blind faith, based on sutras that are archaic and incomprehensible, that you aren't even expected to understand. But here, at our pagoda, the teachings we provide to everyone are on par with, are parallel to, the times. So when people come to the pagoda, they feel satisfied. As we see before us, there are many young people in our youth group. These youths, on average, are at least university graduates. Some have even higher degrees. These children are intelligent. When they come here and listen to the pagoda's teachings, they feel they have value. Why? Because they are being given a moral framework that is full of knowledge about the modern world. And so they are deeply satisfied. Isn't that right, children? Yes, it is. If they came here and were told old fairy tales or ancient folklore, they might come once or twice, but by the third time, they would be gone. They would abandon the pagoda, because those things are out of touch and cannot satisfy the intellect of this era. And what is this era's intellect like? The youth are advancing every single day. So we say this today for what purpose? We are reminding two groups of people. The first group is the venerable monks and nuns in the pagodas. If you do not understand technology 4.0, if you do not apply the advancements of science and technology within the pagoda, it means the pagoda is not walking with life. It means the pagoda is abandoning life, standing still in the back. And if the pagoda abandons life and stands still in the back, it means no one will come to the pagoda anymore. Yes, that is the first point. It means we are not fulfilling our sacred responsibility to teach and guide beings, to repay the Buddha's grace. And the second group we must remind? It is the people outside in society, people who were once Buddhist followers but grew tired of the pagoda because they saw how advanced and captivating everything on the internet was. And they gradually lost interest in the pagoda. That is also a mistake. Why? Because no matter how far science advances, eating is still our job. Excretion is still our job. Learning is ours. Training is ours, and cultivation is ours. Science and technology cannot do these things for us. And no matter how far science and technology advance, you will still reap the fruit of the causes you sow. Ignorance will still be suffering, and enlightenment will still be peace and happiness. Understanding this, when we encounter pagodas that seem backward, that haven't kept up with the times, and we lose interest in them, this fault is ours. What should we do instead? When we see the pagoda standing in the back, what should we do? We should step back, take its hand, and pull the pagoda forward with us. Because the monks and nuns may not know. They may not be aware of scientific progress, and so they stand still, silently watching as everyone walks away, further and further, until they disappear. So it is our responsibility. In the pagoda, there are still many precious things. Even if a monk seems to know nothing of science and technology, there are still priceless treasures in that pagoda that science and technology can never change. So do not abandon the pagoda. Do not forsake the pagoda. Return to it. Visit the monks. Tell them about the new technology, about the modern era, about life, about new music, new perspectives, new knowledge. To encourage them to do what? To encourage them to walk forward with the times. To walk forward, but while still holding fast to the fundamental core values of Buddhism. What are they? The precepts: diligence, meditation, wisdom, selflessness, the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path. These things are immutable. They can never be changed. A monk who practices according to the Buddha's teachings is still incredibly valuable. He is still incredibly valuable. It is just that he may not understand 4.0, the technology revolution, and so he steps back and withdraws from the world. That is a great waste. So, in this day and age, what must a Buddhist practitioner be? They must be a person who understands deeply the Noble Eightfold Path, the Four Noble Truths, the law of cause and effect, and meditation. And they must also understand clearly the advanced technologies of the outside world. Why? Because we love this world. We do not have the right to abandon this world. If any monk stubbornly refuses to walk with the world, that monk lacks compassion. For example, if he argues, "Because I am diligently practicing meditation and keeping my mind pure, I have no need to change and follow the world," that is a stubborn and uncompassionate view. It is not a loving view. But if a monk possesses compassion and a gentle, selfless heart, he will see that when he recites Shariputra, form is not other than emptiness, emptiness not other than form. Form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form. And he sees that people do not understand. He must change his words immediately. Hey Shariputra, that which exists and that which does not exist. They may seem different, but they are deeply interconnected. My child. When spoken in a new language, people begin to understand, don't they? But if you just keep repeating form is not other than emptiness, emptiness not other than form, nobody will understand, and they will leave you. You must change your language immediately. Why must we change our language? Because we love all beings. We cannot allow the precious words of the Buddha to be locked away in an obscure language. We must translate them into a new language, present them so that everyone can understand. Why? Because the Buddha's teachings are absolutely immutable. They are supreme and noble. To keep them hidden in an old, worn-out path is to be cruel to the world. So today, we speak of this to address both sides. The venerable monks and nuns who practice must be astute. The sublime teachings of the Buddha are absolutely immutable. But we must understand the changes in the world in order to bring these sublime teachings of the Buddha along with the world. We must not abandon sentient beings. We must not abandon the era. Only then can we teach them. And for the lay people, for our Buddhist followers, it is the same. Do not think, because that monk is from the countryside, that pagoda is backward, I will abandon it and just follow the modern era and its technology. That is also a mistake, because there are still priceless things hidden inside that pagoda. We must return to our teacher, take our teacher by the hand, and pull him along with us. Girls aren't allowed to hold hands, so the boys can do it. Pull our teacher along. Tell him about the new technologies, so that he can do what? So he can bring the timeless teachings of the Buddha to walk alongside the modern era. It is just like our pagoda. We have sutras that we have turned into songs, and you enjoy them immediately. In the beginning, we had songs like the Song of Repentance, right? And the Song of Prayer, right? At that time, I set those words to modern music. And I thought that these sutras in a modern musical style would be to guide the younger generation, all of you children, the youth. But I was wrong. I was very wrong. When I brought the sutras to the north, to a village pagoda where the elders had never been exposed to modern sutra music, something unexpected happened. When the monks handed out the lyrics with musical notation and played the music for everyone to sing along, the old ladies there loved those new musical sutras even more than the young people did. So it is clear that truth is singular. It is not that in the old days we chanted this way, and in this era we chant that way. No, good music is eternally good. It is simply that it had not yet appeared in the past, so we did not know it. When it appears, people recognize it and they love it instantly. So when we rewrote the sutras with modern music, we truly brought a new joy to Buddhist followers, both young and old. That is why on our festival days, during our grand ceremonies, we use a great deal of music. We always have a main song that we all sing together during the central ritual. For example, on Buddha's birthday, what is the song we sing together? What song? He has come. Yes. He has come like a million suns. That's it. Or tomorrow, for the Vulan festival, we will have a song that everyone will sing together. What is it? Follow mother up the mountain. Follow father down to the sea. Everyone will sing together. The old and the young will sing together, in joy, in happiness, full of emotion. Vulan returns with the sound of the temple bell, right? At that moment, everyone is truly happy. So the pagoda must not stand still. The pagoda must walk with the times, carrying the immutable, noble teachings of the Buddha alongside the era to guide everyone. And everyone must do their part as well. Remember, if you see a quiet pagoda because its monk feels he cannot keep up, we must go to him and invite him. Teacher, please walk with us. Bring your spiritual practice, bring the Buddhist teachings that you have learned, and walk beside us, walk beside our lives, to remind us, to teach us, and to protect us. Yes, I would like to extend my deepest thanks for the presence of Mr. Dang Min Thong, Permanent Vice Chairman of the Ba Ria Vung Tao Provincial People's Committee. Thank you, sir. Thank you to the venerable monks and nuns who have come. Thank you, dear Buddhist followers, for gathering here for this Vulan festival. Yesterday, a reporter from a station, I believe it was VOV, came here and asked me, why are the ceremonies at Fat Quang Pagoda attended by so many people? I answered that perhaps it is because the teachings of Phat Quang Pagoda resonate with everyone. Teachings that hold fast to the core principles of the Buddha, but are spoken in the language of the era and presented with the knowledge of the era. This brings people a deep sense of satisfaction, and they feel pleased to come to this pagoda. Even though it is very poor and simple, it gives them teachings that fulfill them. They feel they have dignity, they have value when they come to this pagoda. That is to say, if you ask someone, which pagoda do you go to? And they say, I go to Phat Quang Pagoda, others look at them with a certain respect. But if they mention another pagoda and people look at them with a quizzical or dismissive expression, they don't like that. It is clear that Phat Quang Pagoda gives us a sense of dignity. It gives us dignity, a sense of value, not because it is a wealthy pagoda, but because inside that pagoda, inside that poor pagoda in a mountain forest with a stream flowing through its simple valley, there are truths. The teachings of the Buddha from millennia ago, which have never changed, are transmitted here with the knowledge of the technology 4.0 era. This allows people to follow a spiritual path while remaining an intellectual person. That gives them dignity, it gives them value. That is the reason people love coming to Phat Quang Pagoda. I hope I have not spoken incorrectly. Now, I would like to move to the next part. After the Dharma talk is over, it is time for marketing and sales. The pagoda produces soy sauce, fish sauce, and a caramelized dipping sauce. I ask for everyone's support. And there is a new book out called Tien, Meditation, which contains 22 articles. This book is a collection of writings on meditation by another master, who asked me to co-sign the book. We have Din Nui Tuet, The Snowy Peak, Volume 30, which has just been printed. We have the Bo Kui Takung Su, The Code of Conduct, for Buddhist followers and youth, a thick 3-volume set. The Code of Conduct is something every Buddhist follower should read to understand how to act in all aspects of life. It is like an encyclopedia of civilized and moral conduct for everyone. The only thing is, I cannot give them away as the cost is a bit high. So, I wish all the venerable monks and nuns, I wish Mr. Minthong, I wish the local authorities, and I wish all our dear Buddhist followers, in the time to come, all happiness, peace, and progress. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha.